welcome all of you. Actually, seeing so many comments already. Nithyananda, Ma Angelica, Gianfranco, Ma Grazina, Ma Bhartia, Ma Martina. So exciting to welcome all of you for this life transforming webinar. Superconscious mutation of 64 forms of Paramashiva. Actually, as I was sharing earlier, this very word mutants is extremely loaded. How many of you have watched movies and TV serials or web series where they show people who have are like superhumans, or like the heroes or people like that who have extraordinary powers, but they lack compassion, they lack responsibility, they lack enlightenment, and this is a type of portrayal that is put about mutants. So the moment we use the word mutants, immediately there's a fear that starts arising in us. But this description only fits the lower world mutants, the people, the unconscious beings that exist in the lower worlds.
But in our civilization, the greatest civilization of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, in our Hindu Shastras, Vedas, Agamas, and Puranas, mutants are described as superconscious beings, meaning mutants, the superconscious mutants are described as beings from the higher planes of existence who are filled with responsibilism, compassion, and enlightenment. So when an individual consciousness connects the individual conscious existence, connects to those superconscious mutants, we start radiating enlightenment, intelligence, compassion, and the highest order of numerous divine qualities of those superconscious beings. Did you know, just as 200 years before, every village had superconscious mutants in our civilization, in Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Literally every village had superconscious mutants, beings who manifested these extraordinary powers and made these signs accessible. When the superconscious mutation takes place at DNA level, it awakens the non-mechanical parts of the brain, with which one can start manifesting numerous extraordinary Shaktis or powers, and can manifest multiple acts at a time. Let us listen to Swamiji introducing to us, revealing to us about what are these non-mechanical parts of the brain.
We're going to be watching the video where Swamiji is going to be explaining how all of us have this mechanical part of the brain and non-mechanical part of the brain. So before we go into the video, I request all of you, since many of you here have listened from Swamiji in so many different satsangs about this particular word called non-mechanical part of the brain, and many of you have experienced the awakening of it. How many of you are here logged in and who have experienced this? Please post in the comment section. You can share with us what is your understanding of the non-mechanical parts of the brain. And we are going to be watching the video very shortly. Please do take a moment, and we are going to be watching that. So I request everyone to post in the comment section, in the YouTube live chat section. All of you can come and post in Kailasa's SPH Nithyananda Paramashivam YouTube channel.
We have viewers who are posting Martina, Ishana Shivashakti, Nithyanandam.
So you can post it here in the live chat section. Now let's, as you all are posting, now let's watch the video.
Your brain has two components. One, just because you are born, it will be function, active, like your breathing, your blood circulation, the parts which controls, manages your breathing, blood circulation, digestion, all that. There's another one component of your brain which is awakened only through a practice which they are not mechanical parts of your brain. See, the parts which controls your breathing, your seeing, your digestion, this is a mechanical part. The parts which can be awakened only by spiritual practice, the subtle grooves of the brain, which is responsible for telepathy, teleportation, extraordinary powers. Which is responsible for extraordinary memory, ability to strategize, handle life.
Yes. Just like how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism revealed the infinite, non-awakened, non-mechanical attributes of this brain. When it is awakened, when it is actualized, it has tremendous potentiality. It has tremendous possibilities which can reach their peak expression. And that is what manifests as superconscious mutation. Now, you may wonder, yes, I get it. I understand what is superconscious mutation, but can this superconscious mutation help me resolve my day-to-day problems?
Actually, I'm reminded of a joke here. I just want to share that. See, so once there's a lawyer and he finds out that he has a brain tumor. And in fact, it is like so huge that it's inoperable. And literally, they decide to do a brain transplant. So his doctor gives him choices, different choices of brain to choose from. So first, there's a jar of a brain of a rocket scientist, and that is for $10 an ounce. And next, the doctor shows him the jar of a regular scientist's brain, which is $15 an ounce. And next, the doctor shows him the jar of lawyer's brain, which has like a whopping $180 an ounce. The lawyer is furious and he's now enraged. So he asks the doctor that how this is an absolute ripoff. How come the lawyer's brains are so damn expensive? And the doctor replies, do you know how many lawyers it takes to have and get an ounce of brain?
See, understand whether it is a health issue, your relationship issue, you're feeling unsuccessful, or you want to even solve simple problems like being stuck in traffic. Superconscious mutation can help you. How? Curious? That's exactly what we are going to be learning in today's webinar. So welcome. And when we talk about mutation, we have seen how the genetic engineering has come travel to long way ahead, and it is talking about various things called mutating, and like there are experiments that are conducted to mutate human cells, etc. But how many of you know that modern science's understanding of mutation is still quite limited? Millennia ago, when Einstein was still grappling with his theories of physics, with his understandings about the laws of nature and theories of nature, our ancient rishis had the complete knowledge of how our microcosm functions, how the macrocosm functions. Our ancient rishis, the rishis of the ancient Vedic civilization, had the science of the ability to see stars with naked eyes. This is the superconscious mutation power that we all have.
Actually, if you take the example of Mahabharata, the Pancha Pandavas were birthed by Kunti, as described in Mahabharata, is itself a superconscious mutation. Kunti received this power of birthing superconscious mutation. So she made these superconscious beings out of the DNA of divine beings. And she gave birth to kids through their DNA. She literally brought Surya, Bhagavan Surya's DNA, With the blessings of Surya, the superconscious mutant Karna was formed. Karna is the superconscious mutant of Bhagwan Surya. She brought Surya's DNA with his blessings, and till the end, his greatest value was always about giving, giving, giving. The Surya's radiance, the very nature of Surya is only giving. That is exactly what the superconscious mutant Karna radiated. He gave his very own life. Then she gave birth to Yudhishthira through the DNA of Yamadharma. The dharma that Yudhishthira held, it is something unimaginable. In every situation, the way he never ever violated dharma, it is something unimaginable. The power that Bhima, he radiated, he is the superconscious mutant of he is the superconscious mutant of Vayu, right? And the power that he radiated is something unimaginable. Same way Indra, the superconscious mutant of Indra is Arjuna. He's so powerful. The superconscious mutant of Ashwini Kumaras is Nakula and Sahadeva. All these great beings that we know from Mahabharata are none other than superconscious mutants.
So true and so beautiful, because our civilization was so advanced and so profound. And the best news is this great civilization, this great science rather, is being revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, who has successfully established superconscious mutation as a science, as a legitimate science, by awakening millions of us, devotees, disciples, and followers worldwide. In this groundbreaking webinar, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is going to take us through a journey to manifest this very superconscious mutation. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is going to open us up to the most misunderstood, coincidentally, the most untapped potential on planet Earth, the human consciousness.
Now we are going to be entering into understanding just a few words of a brief introduction of who is the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, who has gifted us this extraordinary science. So before we go into that, I request all of you, there are many of you that have been initiated by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. How many of you have experienced the superconscious mutation? Like, for example, you were able to manifest the power of consciousness over matter. Understand that's because you're in your very DNA level, the superconscious mutation has happened. So I request the people that are logged in currently, if you have manifested any power, even once, I request you all to put it in the comment section. How many of you that are logged in now have manifested any power as a side effect, as a reason, because of the initiation that Swami, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, has given us? Please do take a moment and post it in the comment section. We are going to be entering into just understanding a brief introduction about Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
Yes, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was born in January 3rd, 1978 in the holy town of Tiruvannamalai. In 17th July 1981, just at the age of 3, Swamiji was initiated into Bala Sannyas by the enlightened beings, masters, and the predecessors through a ritualistic ceremony. The science of identifying incarnations. Actually, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was identified as an incarnation by the enlightened beings and masters such as Yogi Raj Yogananda Puri, Panduranganath, and 230th Guru Mahasanidhanam of Thundai Mandala Adinam at Kanchinet.
We can see the photograph of the coronation that Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had just at the age of 16 to revive Kailasa. This photograph of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was organized to be taken by his Vedanta Guru, Mata Vimutananda Puri, also called as Mataji Kukumal. You can see there is a conch in the Kamandalu to the left of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and a wooden staff to his right. And all of these are the traditional items that were given by her and handed over along with the official induction as a successor to the lineage. We can see both the pictures. You can see these items in the picture towards the right side.
Here are glimpses of the early days of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the mission. Here we can see to the leftmost is where when SPH was the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was very young. And the temple monastery complex of his gurus, Mata Vivekananda Puri, in Tiruvannamalai was built brick by brick by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself personally, and his gurus guided him and he followed it. And here we can see at the age of 24, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism establishes the headquarters, the Adi Kailasa Sarvagnya Peetham in the southern India. And here we can see at the age of 23, on 14th April 2004, the 14th April 2001, here the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism establishes the Kailasa Temple Monastery Complex in Tiruchengood in southern India. And here we can see in the age of 28, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism guiding millions of people, conducting workshops, various programs, and worldwide in various different countries. And here we can see in 2005, at the age of 27, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is being welcomed with proclamation message by a mayor of St. Louis, USA.
So you could go to the next slide, please.
What you're seeing here is in 2005, literally Swamiji conducts mass living enlightenment initiation conventions in South India. And in 2006, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is having discourses in various parts of USA. So in 2010, again, you can see at the age of 32, how so many conclaves and conventions were conducted, spreading global peace and enlightenment.
And this continues in an infinite level. But you can see here in September 2015, the Nasik Kumbh Mela, where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism initiated thousands into mass living enlightenment. Same way in 2016, thousands and thousands of them received initiation in the Ujjain Kumbh Mela directly by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Here we can see the various coronations of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The leftmost is where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is ordained as the 233rd Guru Mahasanidhanam, the Pontiff of Kailasa Shamala Peeta, Kailasa Kanchi Kailasa Sarvagnya Peeta, also known as the Thundai Mandala Adinam. And next, in the next picture followed is where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is coronated as the Emperor of Surya Vamsha Surangi Samrajyam, the very lineage in which Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra Prabhu and various other great Avatara Purushas ruled. And next is a picture where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is being coronated as the 23rd Guru Mahasanidhanam of Dharma Mukti Swargapuram Adinam, and followed by which the picture of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism being coronated as the 293rd Jagat Guru Mahasanidhanam of
the Supreme Pontiff of Kailasa Shyamala Pita Sarvagya Pitam. And the next picture is where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is coronated as the Mahamandaleshwar of Mahanirvani Akhada, and followed by which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is coronated as the Acharya Mahamandaleshwar of Atal Akhada. And the next picture is where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is elected and coronated Hinduism by a congregation of over 1,000 Hindu leaders, 1,000 Hindu pontiffs.
Yes, we can go to the next slide, please.
Then on, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism formed the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa. Kailasa is the microscope cosmic ancient Hindu enlightened civilizational nation whose vision is living enlightenment for one and all of the humanity. Kailasa's mission is to revive and share with the today's world the practical applications of the greater sciences of authentic Hinduism, including Hindu cosmic physics, Hindu alchemy, Hindu cosmology, Hindu biology, Hindu mathematics, and so on, power manifestation sciences, and many other things. All of these sciences are revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and these sciences were once practiced, it was in practice freely in over 56 Hindu deshas across the continent, and now all of these land where the Hinduism used to be the only practiced religion is now facing extinction due to brutal persecution over a millennium.
And we can see over here the 108 Sri Kailasas Uniting Nations initiatives, which is in alignment with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations.
Next slide, please. And here we can see the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's vision for No Hungry Home project, which is offered by Sri Kailasa's Uniting Nations for nutritious food and hunger-free world, and where 1 billion free meals are served over the past 27 years, and 10,000 meals are served daily free of cost. Organic sattvic meals are served free of cost for up to 100,000 on festival days, and this service continues in 150 countries around the world in thousands of cities. The next slide, please.
Also, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism during pandemic, he literally converted his monastery campuses into a multi-layer quarantine facility. It was provided and offered free from one and all, regardless of any differences in age, gender, caste, creed, ethnicity, and so on. All the basic facilities, including free medical care, free food, every single thing was completely offered free.
Next slide, please. And the largest Hindu university in the world, which is the Nithyananda Hindu University, was established by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And on October 2nd, 2006, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism inaugurated the Nithyananda Gurukul, the revival of the ancient Adi Shaiva Guru-disciple education system, an authentic knowledge transmission system based on enlightenment.
And
the Kailasa Nithyananda Jnanalaya, the Hindu library, and Hinduismpedia, which is offered by the Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations for protection of Hindu scriptures. And we have the largest Hindu library housing over 1 million Hindu scriptures and over 20 million palm leaf scriptures. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has authored over 10,000 plus books in more than 3 languages, translated into 50 languages, and published 10,000 articles, and given over 10,000 plus hours of free discourses with over 1 billion plus views. And in Kailasa's Hinduismpedia, we have more than 15 terabyte of digital books and rare manuscripts from over 19 Sarvagnya Pitams, which are ancient mats and universities, 1 million pages on Hinduism, collection of 22,000 digital books, 1,000 plus e-books, and 100,000 plus articles on various topics covering all aspects of Hinduism. Next slide, please.
And what we are seeing here is a number of peace walks. Literally in 2009, the Supreme Court of Hinduism organized a month-long peace walk, covering about 1,000 kilometers and 1,000 villages. You heard it right. It's such a huge initiative that the Supreme Court of Hinduism performed to bring together in harmony from all walks of life, just to protect the feeling connection, oneness amongst the people. During this walks, it's just not peace walks. The health camps were organized. Manadan was organized.
And the women empowerment that Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has done and continuing to do is extremely phenomenal, especially the Sri Kailasa United Nations, which is for feminine empowerment and gender equality, establishing Kailasa's Yogini Sarvagnya Peetham, where it was establishing the yoga and meditation universities to empower the very quality of life of so many women and children, and emphasizing the life solutions through the Vedas, Agamas, and the great ancient Hindu scriptures, empowering the indigenous and rural women fighting against wrongful gender stereotypes, gender-based violence, and lack of inclusive and quality learning environments. Some of the initiatives include Kailasa's Nithyananda Lakshmi, a microfinancing service specifically for all the rural women, Kailasa's Women Foundation and Women Empowerment Self-Help Centers, launched in 2009. Kailasa's Ankita program, providing foundational literacy about working of basic community service and infrastructure establishments. Kailasa's Ashraya program, providing vocational training programs to the rural and indigenous women to provide equal opportunities and access to independent, self-sufficient financial environments to them. And even to this day, all these initiatives continue.
Also, we have the Nityananda Yoga offered by Kailasa's United Nations for Yoga, reviving the ancient tradition, the Hindu tradition of yoga. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has revived 108 scientifically validated kriyas and revival of ancient forms of yoga. And there are 2 Guinness World Records established by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism by reviving the science of Kundalini Raju and Mallakamba Yoga, the Shivastamba Yoga, and lot more. And each of these services, the Supreme Pontiff himself has established, revived, and is making it available, accessible to the whole of humanity for benefit.
Despite the brutal persecution that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa have faced, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is unwavered in his intention, commitment, and the action in building the only Hindu nation, the first nation for all the Hindus today, which is the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa. The sovereign state of Sri Kailasa protects, revives, and preserves Hinduism, which is the most ancient, most peaceful, still living, and long-lasting demonstrable system that shows the possibility of peaceful coexistence amongst people.
The sovereign state of Sri Kailasa, the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation, is the first nation of Hindus, which is led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, spoke on behalf of the 2 billion global Hindu diaspora at the 14th session of the United Nations Forum on Minority Issues. You all can see the photographs over here. This is a significant milestone in the history of Hindus and the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa.
The next slide, please. despite facing assassination attempts, over 70 assassination attempts and physical attacks on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in India and abroad, 40 attacks on community members, destructions of monasteries and temples, over 60 incidents of attacks, molestations, and rape of women and women monks, intense lawfare via over 100 false legal cases, all but one are dismissed, intersectional persecution using entire government mechanism and the political apparatus, politically owned media, police, and judiciary controlled by the political apparatus, inciting mob violence via social media, and a lot more. And despite all of this, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continues to stand strong on his principles to establish the Sanatana Hindu Dharma and to provide the best of the benefits to humanity at large.
Yes, that comes to the end of small introduction, a very brief introduction of and the laws of nature. If I have to put it in a short way, how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says, the last frontier of the science is actually the threshold of the spirituality. What we traditionally call, E is equal to mc square is not entirely true. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, revealed that E is not actually equal to mc square in one of his presidential briefing. And now, very recently, in 2017, Ajay Sharma, a Simla-based researcher, challenged the Albert Einstein's derivation of mass energy equation, which is E equals mc square, and he categorically says that this is only based on certain parameters. This whole equation is considering only the certain parameters like light waves, magnitude of light energy, angles at which the waves are emitted, and the relative velocity. The whole paper is being published in Bauman Moscow State Technical University in Moscow.
And actually, in this particular experiment, Einstein had only considered just two light waves, and both are of equal energy and are traveling in opposite directions. And he also considered the velocity, the relative velocity, to be uniform. But there are so many other factors, other parameters, numerous parameters, which were not considered by Einstein in his 1905 derivation. And this is what Mr. Sharma's paper very clearly establishes. And how many of you know that this paper, the popular formula that all of us use, E equals mc square, was not even peer reviewed? Which means this world-renowned equation of Einstein was never reviewed through the lens of an unbiased academic and scientific community before it became part of the world's current scientific usage. So the scientific community is yet to start studying on the non-material phenomena and the superconscious happenings to bridge this gap and to bring the most advanced superconscious existence to the mass and making it extremely scientific is one of the very reasons for the advent of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
But did you all know that an average person with one strand of DNA awakened, uses only 10% of his brain? A research by Dr. Carolyn from Galactic Foundation establishes clearly that when the dormant DNA is awakened, the dormant DNA in us is awakened, the non-mechanical parts of our brain gets awakened, which directly means that the DNA activation increases the awakening of our brain's capacity, functionability, and much more. And this one truth of how this activation of DNA awakens the non-mechanical parts of the brain, meaning when you activate the third strand, the fourth strand, the fifth strands of your DNA, the brain, the capacity of the brain, the functionality of the brain, the non-mechanical parts of the brain also is awakened and activated. Actually, there's also another research by Dr. Rick Strassman states. So his research says that DNA activation in turn activates the pineal gland. All of us know the pineal gland, popularly known as the third eye, the Agnya chakra. And this is located like in the middle of the brain, at the back of the third eye region. And he establishes this clearly. And in fact, Beth Coleman, in his research, he tells about this master cell in the pineal gland has the youth and vitality chromosomes, which are responsible for our aging process. Our aging process is directly related to the pineal gland in the third eye. And do you know the activation of this gland leads to increase the melatonin secretion, which is responsible for the anti-aging process. The secretion of melatonin is directly responsible, that the melatonin is in fact the anti-aging hormone in our system. This reminds me of another beautiful research by Dr. Philip D. Minton and Mr. Alcier. He says we all have these telomeres in our body, in our system, and this telomerase is known as the immortality enzyme. It is extremely powerful. The telomere is directly responsible for anti-aging youthfulness in our system. So this telomeres is known as the enzyme of immortality. But the gene which is controlling this enzyme, this telomere, is switched off. And activation of telomeres leads to anti-aging, and it leads to youthfulness, and it literally leads to immortality of your system.
How many of you have been part of this experiment, which is conducted in 2014 in the Inner Awakening program by a group of researchers and scientists, where when the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had conducted this program, the Inner Awakening program, hundreds of participants from various parts of the globe had participated in this, where by the awakening of your Kundalini Shakti and through the powerful initiations that Swamiji had given, so many, actually all the people, the 100% of people experienced increase in telomeres. How many of you have experienced this? How many of you were a part of this? Please leave a comment in the comment section. This reminds me of another experiment that was done by the Heart Math Institute, which very powerfully establishes how the thoughts, the emotions that we carry directly affects the DNA. Our DNA directly gets influenced by it. When we are having a lot of, the research actually says how when we have a lot of positive emotions like love and peace and prayer, the DNA strands actually stretch, which is a mode of growth, and the growth starts happening. And when we do not have these emotions, when any other negative emotions are happening, the genes actually contract, which is a side effect, which actually is a way how it responds to fear emotion, and that stops the growth. And the research further establishes how only based on the conditioning that we have, because somebody from young age we are taught to believe that at a certain point we become old and we start dying, only because of that our cells start dying and we start experiencing old age, and we start even going through death. We start having diseases. It's all because of this. So this is a very powerful research when I came across this Heart Math Institute research, which talks about how the epigenetics field is completely studying on this. And this is what so far the research is able to establish.
Absolutely, Emma. And all of this, whatever we have heard so far, all of this sciences, superconscious mutation sciences, have been put into practice by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism through various initiatives. One such initiative is what Ma Tatukia had mentioned about the Inner Awakening Conclave, where literally 82% of the participants showed more than 100% increase in telomerase enzyme post the program. Please understand, what we heard is telomerase is the immortality enzyme, and 82% of all the participants experienced 100% increase. And out of this 82%, 27% of the participants experienced 200% increase in their telomerase activity. And all the participants demonstrated a significant increase in these levels just within a period of 3 weeks. So these groundbreaking researchers, what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says, that the whole purpose of his very incarnation is to get the attention of the scientific community to study the non-mechanical aspects of the brain, non-mechanical portions of the brain where the superconscious mutation literally happens, and which is actually not perceived by usual five senses. So let us learn this $1 million science of superconscious mutation, starting with the advent of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the very manifestation of Paramashiva's superconscious mutation. He has literally demystified and revived this entire science, manifested the various dimensions of this science for the benefit of one and all. And
now, to receive this, all that we need to do is just sit back, relax, and ready to mirror the neurons. When you receive the darshan, when you are going to be seated in front of the avatar, and especially if you are receiving the Nayana Diksha, just be seated. The initiation, the powerful process, and the revelations that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is going to reveal itself will directly work on our very consciousness, taking us through a journey of experiencing superconscious mutation itself. So get ready. Ensure you share this with your friends and family. Invite each and everyone to relish this divine experience of receiving the superconscious mutation, and get ready, sit back, relax, and enjoy to receive the profound, groundbreaking revelations about the superconscious mutation in the most scientific, in the most practical, and in the most experiential way, directly by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself.
Very, very shortly, we are going to be entering into a preparation to receive the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
Now, let us all get ready for receiving the darshan.
64 manifestations documented in Veda Agamas, which he himself describes. Manifesting all of them in you is the complete manifestation of Paramadvaita. Documented in Veda Agamas, which he himself describes.
Superconscious mutations and 64 forms of neck and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes. Breathe in and breathe out deeply and slowly. Start chanting the Mahavakya. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Paramashivoham.